There is no standing still. There is nothing that you do in your business, in your day-to-day, that has zero impact. Everything has an impact. Whether you post on LinkedIn, whether you put that video out, whether you sent that mail shot out that week, everything will either move you forwards or move you backwards. And so you've got to take a real look at what you do as a business owner and ask yourself, actually, is this moving me forward or is this moving me away from the goals? It's not a case of it's not having any impact at all. Welcome back. This is episode 2 of a 3-part series of solo episodes featuring myself, Nitin Sharma, founder of rectools.io and host of this fantastic podcast, Rec Talk, which is currently the leading podcast in the recruitment industry. Thanks to you guys who listen, who like, subscribe and watch every week. This episode is going to be about sort of the next part and evolution of the previous conversation. So as you to kind of cast your mind back, we were talking about how recruitment is not a sales job. It is not a sales business. We should be approaching it as a professional service. And so I wanted to take this time today to talk to you about the productization of your recruitment process. We work in this really bizarre industry where we do a lot of work as agencies for free, whether it be for a TA team, whether it be for HR managers, or whether it be for line managers. We do a lot of work for free. And we don't charge for it. We go through an entire process of recruitment only to be told right at the end that, nope, sorry, we're going to go another route. We're going to go another direction. This one's not for us for whatever reason. Okay. And that's the client's prerogative. This lack of value in our time and this lack of value in our service is really costing us more now than ever before. Insolvencies are within the recruitment sector are at an all-time high. Good businesses, or previously were considered good businesses, are closing down. The financial reports from the big PLC players, they don't look good either, right? There's a lot of uncertainty in the marketplace, but I think we need to sort of take a step back and look at really what's going on in the market right now. The fact is, we're in a world now where there aren't as many jobs. Statistically, they might say that there are a lot of vacancies out there and unemployment is dropping, but the fact is that the costs of employment and the costs of growing out and scaling a team, much like what we've experienced with our own industry in terms of recruitment businesses not really wanting to grow and expand, businesses are going through the same thing, and we're in a supply chain where at the end of the day, if the businesses that we supply to are not very profitable or are not growing or are not replacing members of staff or are bringing in layers of AI to replace the candidates that have left the business or have been worked out of the business or been displaced, then that work is not going to flow down to us. And the work that is flowing down to us is not necessarily the kind of work that we necessarily wanted to be involved in the first place previously. There's a couple of bits I wanted to kind of like start by almost framing in terms of mindset, right? These are things that I've come across, again, through conversation with some fantastic guests that I have the pleasure of hosting, but also kind of through a lot of reading and a lot of research myself. I'm a big believer in sort of human behavior and human psychology plays a real big part in kind of why the industry is in the situation that it's in and how we can work our way out of it. And I'll talk about productization in terms of the recruitment process, and that's a pretty straightforward thing to move to. But the first thing to kind of think about is the theory of the sunk cost fallacy. So that is kind of where you refuse to accept that time, money, or energy has been wasted in a particular thing, and so you continue to go down this path and you continue to sink further time into these things. And that could be time, that could be money, that could be energy, that could be a whole range of things, right? Give you a few examples from real life. You ever watched a really shit film on Netflix and got kind of halfway through it and thought, this is shit? And then somebody comes in and goes, how's that film? Yeah, no, it's crap. Okay, why are you still watching it then? Well, I've started watching it and I might as well finish it. Might as well finish it, right? We've done that. We know people who've gone to university that sit there and say, you go, how's uni going? Awful, rubbish, year one's crap. Just pick the wrong course. Okay, so what are you going to do? No, nothing. I'm going to finish my degree. I've already sunk a year into it. Relationships are the same, this hot fallacy that we've sunk this cost in, and therefore we need to continue down this route, because otherwise what's the point? That I think plays a big part in the reason why recruitment businesses are really struggling to change their mindset away from the sales business mentality. We know it doesn't work, we know it isn't working, and we know that there are better and more enjoyable ways to do business. For some reason, we just don't seem to be able to take that plunge, because it is a plunge. It is accepting that actually up until this point, everything you're doing hasn't necessarily been the right decision. And that people some can find bothersome at times, And so I want you to take a moment to think about that as a theory in terms of the sunk cost fallacy and what that means to you. What part of your business have you perhaps sunk time, energy, money, any number of things into, that you continue to do so because of the time already invested or the money already invested? Hey, that applies to tech too, right? We bought this system and we may as well carry on using it. Why? It doesn't work. It's not doing what we wanted it to do. It's not really performing what we wanted it to do. However, we've paid for it now, so we've got to use it, haven't we? And that's the bit that I think people really need to start considering. There's another kind of psychology theory that I think will help reframe your mindset here, and that's the law of accumulation. The law of accumulation suggests that every action that you do brings you closer to your goal, but equally everything that you do that takes you further away from your goal also takes you away from that goal. So you're in this constant kind of 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. There is no standing still. There is nothing that you do in your business, in your day-to-day, nothing at all that has zero impact. Everything has an impact. Whether it is positive or negative, everything will have an impact on what you do. When you post, or whether you post on LinkedIn, whether you put that video out, whether you sent that mail shot out that week, whether you decided to spec that candidate to the client, whether you picked up the phone and just had a conversation, not a chat, a conversation with somebody, everything you do leads you further down the route towards your goal. In exactly the same way, everything that you don't do also takes you away from those things, right? It's the law of accumulation. That is how the universe works. It's how we work. It's how life works. And so there is never a point in time where you're doing something that is meaningless. Nothing is never ever stationary. Nothing is ever in terms of sort of zero impact. Everything will either move you forwards or move you backwards. And so you've got to take a real look at kind of what you do as a business owner and what your teams are doing. And ask yourself, actually, is this moving me forward or is this moving me away from the goals? Because if it's not moving me forward, then it's moving me away. It's not a case of it's not having any impact at all. So if you sit there making 50 BD calls a day and 50 client calls and 50 candidate calls and you're bashing the phones and you're pissing candidates off and you're pissing clients off, and it's not bringing you closer to the revenue targets and it's not bringing you closer to picking up work, guess what it's doing? It's having the exact opposite effect. We don't want to hear that. We don't want to hear that. But the truth is, celebrating, dialing out 100 times, speaking to 20 people and having one meeting booked, that's nothing to celebrate. Not because those numbers are poor, but because that's 19 people who did not need, want, or desire your service. That's also something to consider and look at. So it's reshaping and reframing this. I will say, look, I'm really fortunate. I get to speak to really incredibly intelligent people. I spend a lot of time within the TA and HR space. I speak to a lot of business owners, not just recruitment business owners, but actual business owners in the local area through things like the curry clubs that I've run, through the Chamber of Commerce memberships that I've got. And so I've been conducting this research around what is it about the recruitment process that people don't necessarily like. Now, we know that one of the biggest pain points for talent acquisition and HR managers and business owners is that there's this influx in applications. Now, look, whether that's because, the candidates are gaming the system and running scripts to apply for thousands of jobs at a time, whether that's because the job boards are actively encouraging anybody to apply through no-click, low-click, so sort of low-touch point of application processes, whatever it might be. But the fact is, the outcome right now is that there are a huge influx of applications. They've got 150 plus applications per vacancy. So receiving another 3 CVs from you is not what they need. It's just not. They don't need more candidates. That's the last thing they need. What they need to do is run through the candidates that they've currently got and see, A, if there's somebody in there that's suitable, and B, let the ones that aren't suitable know that they're not suitable so that they can protect brand and image, but also encourage people to reapply should there be something suitable in the future. So with that in mind, what's the one thing that clients and candidates, but what clients being HR managers, TA and line managers, what's the one thing they haven't got is the time to go through those 150 applications. So we all know what ends up happening. One or two things happens. Number one, they will run an AI script, or their ATS will have an AI thing in there which will auto sift and go, oh yeah, these are crap, these are good. Brilliant. Ethical issues with that, morality issues with that, and legal issues coming soon with that as well. So not necessarily going to be the solution moving forward. But again, one of the biggest problems with this is they just don't have the time to go through all these applications. So they go through the first 10, 15, 20 until they find the shortlist that they need. Then they move that shortlist along. Now, the best candidate might be actually applicant number 112 out of 150. The most suitable applicant might be number 86. The best culture fit might be sat in 143. But you'll never know. So when you frame that conversation and you frame that kind of FOMO piece around, look, you're not, if you can tell me, listen, Mr. Client, Mrs. Client, you can tell me hand on heart, I'm going through all those CVs, every single one of them. I'm personally rejecting everyone that isn't suitable, but in a positive and manner, letting them know that we want them to, reapply. We want them to remain in sort of, looking at our business in the right manner, but they're not suitable on this occasion. And then they get a long list of 20 that they whittle down to 5 at interview and so on and so forth. Hey, brilliant. They don't need you. They don't need you because they've got the time, the effort, and the energy to do that. But not many of them can tell you that. Not many of them will tell you that is what they are actively able to do. So there's product number one. Mr. Client, Mr. Business Owner, Mrs. Client, Mrs. Business Owner, Mr. HR Manager, Mrs. TA Leader. We understand that you guys have got time pressures and that there's a lot of applications in this specific role. That is our niche. That's our specialism. It's what we do. Now, I'm not saying you want to buy the full end-to-end recruitment process, but what I am saying to you is that I can dedicate a resource, and by the end of this week, I can give you a long list of 20 of the best candidates that we have spoken to with transcripts, with AI notes, or whatever you want to provide them, in addition to actually personalised rejections for those candidates who were not suitable, but in such a manner that it encourages them to reapply with you again in the future, and more importantly, not go and badmouth you out and say, I've applied for 15 jobs this week, or I've applied for this company multiple times, they keep advertising this role, and that role is perfect for me, but they never ever call me back. That brand reputation piece, that will speak to a business owner, that will speak to a HR manager, and that will speak to a TA leader. They understand that the employer branding is a vital part of the recruitment process. So why don't we use your time, use your energy, and position that as an option? Now, some of us are incredibly good at creative writing and writing engaging job adverts. Some of us are very, very good and have a lot of information, knowledge, and experience in knowing that a rubbish advert will yield this many results, but a really good advert will yield this many results. Offer that as a service. Hey, we can just rewrite the job advert for you for a fee. We'll rewrite the job advert for you. How about that? Some of us are really data-led recruitment businesses out there, and we're very, very, very niche in terms of what we do. So there's not really many people out there who know more about our market than we do. And we've got all this information stored in our CRMs and in our databases. Why don't I extract some of that information? Why don't I put that into an AI tool and get the AI tool to write me a really detailed report on not just salary survey, but candidate sentiment, things that are going on in the market at the moment. Let them know, actually, listen, you've said that you are looking to make this type of strategic hire. Why don't we do some research for you? And research being candidate sentiment in the area, salaries, local rates, competitors that you might want to headhunt people from. There will be information that you guys know as agencies that the TA teams certainly don't know, the HR manager won't know at all. And the business owner might think they know, but actually just want to have somebody kind of handhold them through the process. One of the biggest things I picked up on recent weeks was that recruitment is one of those things that business owners and business owners being owner-managed sub maybe 500 to 1,000 headcount businesses, the business owners still like to very much be involved. They like the control, and the reason they don't like to use agencies is because generally speaking, they feel as though they're giving up that control to a third party who has no horse in the race and has only a financial incentive to fill the job. Acknowledge that, and then productize your recruitment around that. Listen, we have discounts and deals with job boards. We can get you. Some of us listening are members of Team Network who use Candidate Source. Candidate Source can a much lower and discounted rate because of how they operate, feature your vacancy on a range of niche job boards. Why don't you offer that? Offer the client the opportunity to listen. We can put your job vacancy or this job advert that we've written and charged you for across these different job adverts platforms, which will generate X amount of candidates for you. And it's up to you what you want to do after that, and we just charge a fee for that. We'll just charge you a small fee, and we've consulted with you, we've given you some market analysis, we've told you the things that you need to consider. Hey, do you know what? Actually, what we could also do is, when was the last time you recruited? When was the last time this hiring manager recruited? Do you want us to talk to your hiring manager and do some interview training with them? Do you want us to do some support work with kind of offer management? Do you want us to do the offer management? Do you want us to do the first stage interviews? Do you want us to do the reference checks, the background checks? These are all different things that we offer as a recruitment agency. Used to be that you pay for this as a one-off fee. And you would pay 15 to 25% of the salary, and we would do all of these things included. But we understand that actually you don't want to pay the 25% or 15%. Budget's an issue, or time, or whatever it might be. Any number of reasons. But that doesn't mean that we can't do a part of that service for you and charge you for that. Thereby giving you back that control, giving you back the decision-making process, and allowing you to make that decision that you've hired the right person, or maybe you haven't, or whatever. Productizing your recruitment process will change your mindset. You will no longer consider yourself just a sales engine, sales business, sales hub. You will start running your recruitment business as a professional service. Because those of you who have got staff sat around twiddling their thumbs doing fuck all day long because they just haven't got the work on. Those of you who've got business development teams have got really good business development people, not sales people, business development people who can position propositions, who can identify weaknesses and areas of development and offer solutions to those. So do that. Offer that. If you think about the professional services argument, some accountancy firms will just do your end of year tax returns, allow you to do your bookkeeping. Some others prefer, some of us out there have got an accountant that does everything. Some of us have got an accountant that says, listen, you can put your expenses and stuff on because you know how to do that. And you can, do the first draft of your VAT return, and we'll give it a once over and submit it for you. And then at the end of the year, we'll do your tax returns. Some of us have a full management accounts operation where we get management accounting packs and we get forecasts and budgets and so on and so forth. But they're all part of the same business operation, right? It's all an accountancy practice. Exactly the same thing. Some people want an end-to-end recruitment process. Some people don't. Some people just want to file their own VAT return. Let them. Just let them. Offer your services and time that you're currently working on some contingent basis for. Offer that. And actually, do you know what? You'll be able to get paid up front because you're not going to do all this stuff for free and then say, right, I'll send you the invoice at the end. You position it and proposition it and say, listen, I'm going to run through these applications. I'm going to find you the best ones. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and do this. And to do that, it's this much. I need a payment up front or part payment up front so we can dedicate the resource to get started. I can tell you from experience and from the research that I've conducted that you will get less pushback on that as a proposition to business owners and HR managers. You might get it more so from TA because they don't quite get it yet. But you certainly won't get any pushback when you position it in the right way to the purse string holders and the decision makers. because they will see the benefit of what you're offering, which is giving them back their time. Think about going back to the psychological theory that we discussed at the start. The theory of the law of accumulation. They know that if every time they're doing something that is not adding value to their business, it's taking value away from their business, right? Same concept, exactly the same concept. Do you want to be doing recruitment? Do you want to be doing this hire? And if so, which part of this hire do you really want to be doing? Because look, we know that the law of accumulation suggests that for every time you're not doing something that's taking you closer to your goals, it's taking you further away from your goals. Let me be the person that helps you get closer to those goals. Let me be the business that helps you free up the time to do the things that you're good at by doing the things that I'm good at. I can speak to candidates all day long, and guess what? Unfortunately, I've been doing it for free for so many years. Think of the sunk cost fallacy. It's tough to get your head around this. I've always done it this way. Why would I change it? I can't change it. I've spent 5, 6 years, 7 years building my business like this. I can't now change to a different model. Well, yes, you can, and yes, you should. Absolutely you can, and 100% you should, because you're just sinking more time, energy and money into a model that just is not working. It's fundamentally flawed. We keep hearing people talk about how recruitment's broken. I can tell you now, listen, AI is coming. It's not going to take your job. It isn't, right? But it should be being used to make you guys better at what you do and actually putting the human back into process. And the third episode that we're going to talk that we're going to follow up this one with is going to really explore sort of the opportunities that lay ahead within AI. But certainly from a productization of your recruitment process point of view, there are so many things that you guys we do for free that we should be charging for. And positioned in the right way, you can charge for, and you will charge for. Because is it not better to spend a week positioning this and getting told no all week, but feeling like you've actually had a productive week because you've actually started this process, than to spend all week being told no, fuck off, piss off, not hiring, have a PSL, not interested, you guys are too expensive, don't use agencies, hate agencies, yeah, no, we're not hiring anymore, or a sniff of an opportunity to do a load of work for free, get to Friday and still have not made a fee? Do we really want to continue feeling that way about a business and about a business that we love, because it's our businesses and we love our businesses, but also an industry that we were once passionate about, and so passionate about that we decided to set up a business in it? And now we wake up every morning, we hate what we're doing. Is it not better to say, actually, this speaks to me, I'm going to do this. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to value my time, value who I am, value my offering, and try and do something different. Think about it. Sunk cost fallacy. Stop doing the things that you've sunken time and energy into that aren't producing results. And the law of accumulation. Think realistically about each thing that you do every single day. Is that bringing you closer to your goal or further away from it? Because if it's not bringing you closer to your goal, it is taking you away from it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, subscribing, doing all the cool shit that you guys do. I will see you again in the third installment, and then we'll be kicking off Founders Stories or Founder Diaries. Haven't quite named it properly yet. I think I'm going to go with Founders Diaries. But I hope this has been useful. I've had a lot of positive feedback from this talk that I did at 2 team events so far. But call me, DM me, drop me a note. Happy to scope it out further with you. See you again next time.